when one hears the name of the composer Bruckner, somebody say, "Oh, wonderful." Others say, "Oh, that's not those long snakes that refuse to die." That was what Brahms said, by the way. It's like a long snake that refuses to die. He did not understand the music of Bruckner. So if you have a little bit doubts, you are not alone. But for most of us, Bruckner is the symbol of something extremely beautiful. It's a symbol of eternity. Very few composers can give an idea of what eternity is, something theoretical. But that's the feeling when you have a listen to a Bruckner symphony. I remember we played a Bruckner symphony in Seoul, in Korea. And they have not heard so much Bruckner there. And I had an interview with a very nice musicologist before, and he said, "Well, these are very long pieces." But after the concert, I got a single rose from him, and it had 4 words. It said, "Bruckner is too short." It could go on twice as long, because it was 4 words. It said, "Bruckner is too short." It could go on twice as long, because it was so beautiful. Bruckner practically grew up in the church. He sang in the chorus in St. Florian, a big monastery in the southern, southwest Austria. And when he grew up, he became an organist in the same cathedral. But his main work, he wrote some church music also for chorus and some things for choir and for orchestra. But his main works are symphonies. So the church was not big enough for him. It was like Beethoven. He wanted to write something that could be heard everywhere in the whole world. And it has a message to everyone, a message of peace and how one can solve problems. The music is full of problems, nice problems. We have in music what we call harmony and the dissonance. And to have only harmonies all the time is boring. To have only dissonance is very hard to stand. But the mixture is wonderful. We have to have some tension and then have the tension released. And that is what happened very extremely so in Bruckner symphonies. So I hope that when you listen to this, that you will have the feeling, oh, how wonderful that the problems are not mine, but we know that they can be solved, and solved in such a wonderful way in this music. For instance, the symphony starts with a little horn solo of only 2 bars. La, dim, da, di. It's like a call. You call somebody, hello there, ho, da, di. Only nice harmony, but only next bars it says la, di, da, di, 1 note higher, and it's a dissonance. And then it's almost immediately released, di, oh, lo, hi. That's almost symbolic of the whole work. There's some tension, some wonderful, nice tension, not getting nervous and anxious, not that, but some tension. We had to release the tension. And that happens all the time. This rhythm, ti, po, 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 comes, I have just counted it, it comes 16 times within the next minute, the same rhythm. But it's not like you hear in the car that passes by with rock music, the boom, 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 the same for 1 minute or 3 minutes or 5 minutes. But the harmony change all the time. And that is the harmonies sort of give a different landscape, a different feeling. So it's like being a tourist, looking around in the Austrian Alps, perhaps. You say, And look, oh, it sounds like that. And look here. Oh, look there. Oh, it's still more beautiful. And have you seen this? It's full of surprises. Builds on the same rhythm for 16 times, but it's never boring because it's something new. You should look at the different directions all the time, different feelings. The harmonies get different. Bruckner was a professor of harmony. In his old age, he was professor of the Vienna University. And his strength was harmonies. Of course, all the good composers use harmonies, but they use it in different ways. And Bruckner uses it in his way, which is wonderful. You can follow them very easily. After this minute, in the beginning, it starts very soft, and that grows and grows and grows to something else that's very typical of Bruckner. Lam pom 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 ti ton to to ti to to to. What is typical there is the mixture of 2 and 3. La pa is 2, la ta, and then ta 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 is 3. 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. And the mixture of 2 and 3 is typical also of all Bruckner's music. And I think that this symphony is a especially good example of that. But then you hear something very wonderful. You think you are out in the woods. You hear a bird. Pop, 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 pop. He's not imitating a bird. I cannot say this is this bird. You know, Beethoven did the same in the Personal Symphony. He put 3 birds on the same time. One said, oh, 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 and then it's a cuckoo, oh, 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 oh. Here you cannot hear that this is a specific bird. Bruckner is not an ornithologist, but you can hear that he loved the woods and he loved the nature. This is like a very special bird. And of course, a melody is not enough with one melody for him. His head was full of melodies. At the same time, he has another melody. La hi do di do, la hi o di do, like another bird. So this feeling that you are out in the woods, it's a wonderful place to be. And that's something I like, especially if I might be a little bit personal. When I want to have a good vacation, I don't go to Bali or to be on the beach and have sunshine. I go into the woods to have some mysterious experiences, to listen to the animals that you can hear there and how the wind is going in the trees. Wonderful feeling of peace. So when I heard this symphony the first time, I was perhaps 13 years old. And I was immediately transported by this music. My musical god at that time was Beethoven. Not bad. But Bruckner was also very special. And when I went home after the concert, I tried to remember these tunes. Pop, 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 pop. And the horn called lo, ho, to, ho, and the change lo, he, ho, ho. And I tried to write it down when I came home because that was not the time of recording. I didn't have the money even to buy a recording. So I wanted to write it down so I would never forget this wonderful experience. The second movement is a sort of a funeral march, but not really. It has just some elements of a march. The typical element of the march, you know, for many marches, is the dotted rhythm. Lum, ta-dum, dum, ta-dum, tim, ta-dum, tim, ta-dum, dum, chum, ta-dum, chum, chum, ta-dum, ta-dum, to quote something busy. But this rhythm, tom, pa-dum, is very often there in this movement. And it is combined. There is with the melody immediately in the cello. They sing ti to ti ti ti, 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 do, ti. That sounds familiar. Ti, do, ti. The same interval as in the first one. Lo, do, do, ti. In another context. Ti, do, ti, po, do, do, and ti, do. Here you have the dotted rhythm. Do, do, do. And in the orchestra, there's a comment on when you hear this melody. So here, these three pom, podom, everywhere. The horn, pop, poro, and the trumpet, pop, poro, and the oboe, pop, poro. So this march rhythm is there all the time. And of course, you have a march also has something steady. You hear boom, 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 boom. You are walking right, left, boom, 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 boom. So that is the skeleton of this music. The melodies are the flesh and the beauty that comes above it. This is in E flat, this symphony. It's a very symbolic key for us musicians because it has 3 beats, 3 beats. That's the key of the Eroica Symphony by Beethoven, 3. And of course for Bruckner, 3 has a very special meaning. 3, the Trinity. But the Trinity is fine for him, but if 3 is the symbol of the Trinity, the 2 is the symbol of the world. The combination of 2 and 3, bam, bam, pa-ta-ta-dam, bam, pa-ta-ta-dam, bam, makes up his world. That God and the world that he lives in embraces us all. Also, the piano concerto that we play before the Bruckner Symphony is in E flat. Mozart wrote 27 piano concertos. Can you believe it? He got only 35 years old. 27 piano concertos because he was a piano virtuoso himself, so he wrote it for himself. But of course he wrote lots of operas, long operas, and 41 symphonies, and lots of string quartets, and chamber music, and church music. Unbelievable productive he was. But this, the 22nd piano concerto, E flat, is, I think, the longest. It is the longest. It is as if the key, E flat, the heroic key, inspires him to get long and big. It's a wonderful concerto. Has lots of very memorable melodies. It's scored for quite a big orchestra. There are trumpets and timpani and horns, of course, and there are woodwinds, but there are no oboes, strangely enough. He had discovered the beauty of the clarinets. It was a very modern instrument at that time. And not all orchestra had clarinets. So when he sent this music to some other orchestra that he wanted to play it, he said, if you don't have clarinets, you can have the first horn played by a violin solo and the second horn by a viola. So he was not a purist, you have to play always exactly what he wrote. If you don't have them, take something else. But he discovered the clarinets, the wonderful sound. And also in some other concertos, he uses clarinet instead of oboes. For instance, the one that precedes this in A major also has no oboes. There's the clarinets. Great sound. For instance, there is a clarinet solo in the second movement. La 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 la. Almost a little bit nonchalant music. He knew how to combine the light with the very serious. The piano, of course, is the main instrument. Lots of virtuosity. Mozart was a fantastic pianist himself. The second movement is a slow movement, but not too slow. It says andantino cantabile, it's called. Andantino cantabile. Andantino means walking. You know, so it must proceed at a walking speed. And when it says cantabile, it's not so slow that you cannot sing it in one breath. It's in C minor. Lamento, tragic, very sorrowful, a little bit painful even. This falling second is so deep. Of course, you cannot go on crying all the time, but this is something that is very important when they build a long melody. It's quite a long melody. And after the strings have played this, the piano comes with a variation of this in another way. And next time you expect the strings come, they don't play at all. The winds play. So you have a little wind concerto for a flute and 2 clarinets and a bassoon and 2 horns. And they play for about 1 minute alone. It's wonderful to hear this exchange in the orchestra. One group, then the strings come back, and the pianists come back. Very interesting to listen to, and they build on the same materials, the same music, but varied in different ways. The last movement, a concerto usually has only 3 movements, not 4 as a symphony. 3 movements, there's no menuetto there, as in the symphony or a scherzo. But this last movement is a very expansive movement. It starts with a melody that is difficult to forget. Lam pam pa pam pa pa ri ta tam pa pam pa pa ri ta tam pa di da da di da da di pa pam pa ri. One. Now next one, la pam pa da ri, and the third one is longer, la dum pa ri da da ri. Very simply played, but it gets then very virtuosic, especially for a piano. Have to have a very good pianist to play that, and this Ansnäs is always wonderful. It's always wonderful, also when he plays slow music. But he has it all. Interesting is that this virtuosity spills over to the wind instrument also. Mozart was a wonderful composer for wind instruments. I don't know if he played the flute himself or the horn or the clarinet. He didn't like the flute very much. It's very documented that he said that. But he writes wonderful music for the flute. He cannot be without it. And here the flute has extremely virtuoso, very suddenly. And the clarinet goes legato, but the flute, so it's wonderful to listen to when you have good flute teeth, as we have Mr. Pahud in the Philharmonic. In the middle of section of this finale, there comes something like a menuetto anyhow. There's no menuets in the concerto, usually there are only 3 movements, but it's a slow menuet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Like an island of peace in the midst of this very virtuosic, like fireworks. It's a joy to listen to this, and the fantasy, the ideas of Mozart is unbelievable. You think that he already poured out every possibility of these melodies. No, here's surprised with another version of it, another version. You can listen to it many ways, admire the dexterity of the pianist, admire all the feeling of all these musicians when they play together, and the unlimited inventiveness and imagination of the composer. It's a joy for us to play. I hope it's a joy for you to listen.